Hey everybody, it's Tracking Pat, and today's video actually comes from another one of our viewers by the name of Ian. He asked a while back if I could do a video showing how to do face grooving on the ProtoTRAK RLX. Well, I kind of can help you out there, Ian, but I'm going to have to do it on the RLX because I no longer have an SLX. The process is exactly the same, so it really doesn't make any difference. I also noticed in your email that you were hoping for us to do external grooves as well, but I've got all kinds of videos out there, even on the SLX, showing how to do external grooves as well as internal grooves. So we're going to keep this video strictly to doing a face groove, okay? So you'll notice here on the control that I'm just going to go to the program mode and swipe forward, and you're going to see in here that I've got a groove here in the face of my part, and that I've got a little chamfer on the outside and so on and so forth. And what I'm going to do is show you how I actually programmed it. In this case, I really don't need to start from scratch because it's pretty simple, but to give you the whole process, I'm going to do it anyway. All right, so I'm going to first of all just hit delete event, and then I'm going to look in here where it says groove, be the same thing on the SLX. And the first question it's going to ask is whether this is an ID or an OD, or if I need to switch it to be a face groove. Okay, so I'm going to switch it to be a face groove by using the drop-down menu. On your SLX, you would just push, I believe it's 1 or 2, and it'll change it from one to the other. Okay, on the Z begin, that's the face of my part, so that's going to be 0. I'm going to start at 1.5 inches in diameter, and X2 is also going to be 1.5 inches. All positive numbers. And then the depth of my groove. To keep this simple, I'm just going to go like 75 thousandths deep. And then the other side, I'm going to go to 2.5. And that brings up a really important point. Whenever I'm doing a groove, you have to put the beginning point on a certain side and the ending point on a certain side. So if I was doing an external groove, I'm going to turn my hand this way. Okay, I'm sorry, an external groove this way. This would be Z number 1, Z number 2, Z number 3, Z number 4. Since everything reverses when you go to the face groove, on a face groove, it's X1 and 2, X3 and 4. So think of it as this is, the beginning is the closest to the center of the part, and the ending is the farthest from the center. That's why I went from 1.5 diameter to 2.5. Okay, next question asks if I want to put a chamfer there. I'm going to just put like a 50 thousandths chamfer on the outside of the part. And you'll notice in this control that I can have different chamfers or radii in each corner of the part. On the SX, I only have a choice of them being the same size radius or the same size chamfer. But in this case, I'm not really going to do either. Okay, I have chip breaks in here, and I'm just going to use 2 for each part of the roughing pass. My surface footage, I'm going to put at 350. I'm going to put my feed per rev at 5 thousandths. My finish cut is 5 thousandths of an inch. That's fine. I'm going to use 350 for the finish as well, but slow it down to 3 thousandths per rev and use tool number 1. Now before I do that, I want to talk about one other very important factor here. I'm going to go over here to the options page. And in the options page, you'll notice here for your finish cut type that it says continuous motion. So that means after I rough everything out, I'm going to come in one side, walk all the way through. But I know it's going to machine better if I come into each side, cut that little chamfer, and go halfway through, come out, and then do the opposite side. So I'm going to change this from continuous to plunge and side cut only. All right? So now I'm going to answer that last question, which is what tool I'm using. I'm going to open my tool table, and I'm just going to take this tool that I've already got set up, my face groove tool. Tell it that's tool number 1. Okay? And now I'm set here. I'm going to close the tool table window. I'm going to go to the setup mode. And I'm going to look at the tool path. Now I can tell you already that I think I made a little bit of an error, but let's take a look at this and blow it up so you can see it really good. So you can tell from the center of the cutter how it's doing everything. And I made too big of a chamfer on there. Should have only been maybe about 15 thousandths. So I'm going to go back and change that. But other than that, I want you to see that it's going to peck out the part in both directions, and then it's going to come in and feed, move out, come in and feed, and finish it. Okay, so let's do 2 things. Let's go back to program, swipe backwards, and just change the chamfer size to 15 thousandths. You can tell on the part here that that looks more realistic like what I did the first time. Okay, so I'm good to go here. I'm going to go to run mode and show you what it looks like. Before I do that, I'm going to let you know that I put some black magic marker on the end of the part so that the camera will be able to tell better the difference between the actual aluminum and what I got there, right? So I'm going to go to start as I always would, right? And close the door here. And then I'm going to push go. It's already where it needs to be, so it reminds me to make sure I got the right tool in there. It tells me to start the spindle. As always, I'm going to use tracking just to make sure I don't have any surprises. So I'm going to track it in here to see about where it's at. Remember, I can use tracking throughout the whole part, but in this case, I know I'm going to be good, so I'm just going to hit stop, CNC run, and let it go. And there you have it. So there's your finished groove, and you should be able to see from the opposite camera how well that it finished the part, okay? Other than that, there's really nothing else to it. It's just a matter of knowing which side you have to put it on. And the reason that's important is because it's trying to figure out a tool path for that cutter. That cutter is 1/8 of an inch wide, so it needs to know where to place it in order to remove all the material. If I reverse those numbers in the diameters, it'll actually think that the tool's on the opposite side, and it will cut the groove undersize. So that's just a pointer that is hard to figure out sometimes because it won't give you an error. It'll just come out the wrong side. So hopefully this gives you a really good idea on how to do that. Ian, thanks for the suggestion. I hope that it gives you all the answers you needed. If not, reach out to me anytime and I'll be happy to help you as well. Until I see you in the next video, as always, remember to keep on tracking.